Okay, Abby, let's get into the mailbag. Where are we starting off at today?
Okay. What are a few aspects that you're going to be watching really closely in the spring game?
Quarterback play and just what it looks like, how it comes out, the footwork, the timing. I mean, that's where you got to start, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Overall operation of the offense.
Okay.
Where just fielding snaps, handing off correctly, getting plays in, procedural penalties,
Yep.
Those things that, like you said earlier, we probably improperly dismissed out of that spring game, but those were telltale signs of issues that we're going to drag on all year long. So how much have they cleaned up just the function of the offense?
Those are good ones. I'm going to add, those are good. Thank you.
Thanks.
What I'm going to add is something, do not do this. Okay. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to young journalists. I'm talking to fans. I've tried to do this a couple times. It doesn't work at all. I'm going to go watch the offensive line and see how that looks. Just don't even try. You can't do it. I mean, it's hard to, like, if it sounds good. Like, as I'm talking right now, I'm not going to watch to see if how much they move people. You can't. It's
without like the true game film,
right?
Angles.
Thank you, Sean.
Like, I always feel like that's just kind of like phony baloney BS.
Phony
people
baloney.
Like, I'm going to zone it on the old line.
Yeah,
like,
good luck.
Come sit up there and see how that goes.
Good luck. I've tried it.
Especially when the starters are going to play like 1 to 2 series.
That's
like especially on defense.
Yeah, and they're moving guys in and out. It just, I'm just telling you, it makes no sense.
Like, you have to watch every play like 5 times.
Yeah,
if not more, to really zone in on the
old one.
Line.
Now I can hear a guy in his living room right now saying, now, wait a second. You can see if they're moving the line of scrimmage. Kind of. I mean, yeah. And it's a case usually, especially in the last 20 years, where sometimes they're moving the line of scrimmage and sometimes they're not. And so it's not very interesting that way. So, no, don't do that. What I'll be looking, I mean, shouldn't we say something on defense? I mean, you're kind of looking for what's coming off the edge, what kind of, how are they getting to the quarterback? No sacks. So it's hard. It's kind of challenging.
But they'll whistle sacks. They'll whistle plays down.
And you can see movement.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see athleticism coming off the edge. Cam Lenhart, Prince Will, those guys.
Boundary play with those corners too.
Tackling. Physicality.
Open field tackling, flying to the ball.
Yeah.
Explosive plays of 20 yards or more.
Yeah. There's thank God for Rule. I'm saying this based on what he did last year. I'm hoping he does it this year. It was football last year. It was football. We watched football. And I hope he does that again this year. I think he will.
Okay. What about the special teams? What are you going to be looking for there?
I would imagine the field goal kicking.
Yeah.
They're going to give Albano some opportunities, and I think he's had a good spring. I wrote a prediction this couple weeks ago. I think he'll have over 20 field goals this year, Albano.
Yeah, I can't imagine they'll do anything in the return game. They didn't last year.
Punt returns?
Yeah. I mean, and if it is, it's going to be the weird controlled thing. So I don't look for much in that. So yeah, I mean, place kicking is probably their only real evaluation, and maybe just how the ball looks off Bushini's foot, that type of thing.
What about long snapper?
Well, Camden Woodtucky is who we're talking about.
That's a good one, Sean.
Yeah, Camden Woodtucky he's apparently the guy. So we're gonna have to see what that looks like.
Well, if we don't say his name at all, that's a good thing.
Long snapping, it's really hard for anyone to evaluate because it's about the time. And really good team will stopwatch your snaps. And if you're not where they need to be, they will block your kicks.
Yeah, they had a premier long snapper last year, Ortiz.
We said his name never.
He was good. God, I remember. You know what I remember? When we'd be up there in the press box, long before game time, and the first few guys trickled out, that Ortiz would come out there, and you'd be like, "Man, that's a good-looking player. Who is that long snapper?
It's a long snapper.
Man, he's got to play in the NFL.
Well, he'll probably get a shot.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Okay, who do you think is going to be starting and running back the spring game and then the first game of the season?
Well, you know who's starting the spring
Emmett
game.
Johnson.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson. Spring game.
I still think somehow Gabe Irvin Jr. comes out of it. I don't know.
In the fall, right?
In the fall.
In the fall. You've been very consistent in that. It's a hard read. I mean, Tuesday you heard EJ Barthel speak glowingly of Ramir Johnson. I mean, God, the way he talked about Ramir Johnson, you think, ooh. I mean, he said things like, I don't know why he wasn't on the field.
Rule said the same thing
Why he wasn't on the field more before we got here. You just wonder, could he be an every down type back. I think maybe he could. I've always liked the way he runs with abandon.
Mhm.
He's little. He weighs 185. He's 5'10", 185. Maybe he's bigger than that now. That's what they list him at. I checked today, 185. But he runs hard. I mean, he does not. You know, we've had running backs at Nebraska that kind of pitter patter up to the line of scrimmage when they're asked to run between the tackles. Bell was one. Bell, the kid that transferred, pitter patter. This guy tears into the line.
Think about how good that Michigan team was back in 2021.
Michigan, yeah.
And the plays he made on that defense that featured like Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, yeah. He was big that game. He caught
Mhm.
that. I'm going to call it a wheel route. He caught a ball out of the backfield over his shoulder, which is an incredible catch. I don't know. Was that a wheel route, Sean?
I mean, Nebraska, that was the team that
Do you
won
remember?
the big.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a wheel route.
Was it a wheel
backfield. But I mean, Frost was on that day, and they ran some good plays. And
Frost was
I mean, Michigan had better players than Nebraska,
Yeah.
and they figured out ways to still score on them.
Oh, they had an incredible game plan, Nebraska, in that game.
And they should have beat them. I mean,
Should have.
Aiden Hutchinson tag. I mean, it was forward progress, and they let that play go. But Martinez kept his legs moving and should have just given up. He got the first down on 3rd and 5, ran for it or whatever it was, and he tried to keep running and then fumbled the ball. And
Somebody took it out of his hand.
Aiden
Hutchinson.
hit his leg, and then the ball popped out.
Was it Hutchinson that took it out, Rob? Are
He
you
hit
sure?
him.
He hit him.
Oh, he hit
He
him.
jarred him.
Yeah, that was just one of those plays. It was like that punt at Michigan State that missed its mark by 30 yards. I just stood there with my mouth agape when that ball got taken out of Adrian's hand. I couldn't even believe what I was seeing.
Mhm.
I just pictured like Jim Harbaugh grabbing Aiden Hutchinson by the face, like Sensei Kreese and Karate Kid, and saying, "Sweep the leg."
Sweep the leg.
Do you have a problem with that, Mr. Hutchinson? And he just comes in and just freaking swept Martinez's leg out, and the ball was out.
Wow. That was interesting.
Went down a Karate Kid rabbit hole there.
Yeah,
It's a very
I've never
specific
seen it.
reference.
Yeah.
You've never seen Karate
I've never seen Karate Kid, any
Come
parts
on.
of it. Never.
and you're supposed to be the 80s guy at this table.
70s more, though, Sean, quite honestly. More 70s.
Karate Kid was like a legendary 80s movie.
Was it?
Now, we got some good July content here. Now let's get on to the next question in the mailbag.
My content.
Wait, final question. Sorry,
Okay.
final question.
Last one. Which player has impressed you the most in a spring game? I know it's hard to tell sometimes, but who's really stood out?
I'll throw one out, and we're dating ourselves here. It's over 20 years ago now, but back in the 03 spring game, a walk-on linebacker by the name of Stuart Bradley
Ooh.
was
Crunching people.
was not even with the ones and twos. Like back in those spring games, it was ones on ones, twos on twos. He came in the game when it was the threes on threes. But you noticed
Oh, he had a hit at the goal line it was an amazing goal line hit. Like he blew
and that
up
was
a guy.
Pelini's first year.
Yeah.
But then, Stu Bradley really made his money under the Callahan Cosgrove era.
He was good. Big, rangy linebacker.
I forgot he was a walk-on.
Oof.
You know,
Strangely
Stu
good.
will tell you, and I've talked to him about this over the years before. He was a walk-on, but it was kind of one of those like promissory deals where come in and then we'll give you a scholarship like the second year. So he came here knowing he was going to get a scholarship more or less. But you're right. I mean, he was a walk-on.
Zach Taylor's spring game when he came in and threw for like 350 some yards.
So the 06 spring game.
Yeah, that one jumps out. But here's one. We're talking about going way back. Sip, you will remember this one. How about 1995 when Riley Washington caught 4 passes for 103 yards, 3 of which were touchdowns?
Yeah, I do remember.
What about
I do
98 when Bobby Newcomb took the opening play for like a 80-yard touchdown?
Exciting. Those were exciting moments. They had a running back named Butler that had
Chris
Yeah.
Butler.
Chris Butler
Transferred to Auburn.
transferred to Auburn soon afterwards.
Started to Auburn.
Did he start at Auburn?
Yeah, think about where Nebraska football was, that there's scraps left here and would go start at Auburn.
Yeah. Butler was a scrap. He was a scrap. I mean, he had a good spring game though, and he looked like a Nebraska running back. He was a tough inside runner, with some speed. When he got in the open field, he'd run away from people. I remember it distinctly. I got caught off guard by him. Think about back then, transferring was like, it was like, really?
Well, it took
The guy's transferring.
It took an act of Congress to like get a release to a school back then.
Yeah, and I don't even know how I found out about it.
Remember, like coaches had to grant you permission to transfer to
Yeah.
school.
Act of Congress.
Remember when Bo Ryan like handpicked the schools that his guy could transfer to?
Did he?
Like, imagine that.
Yeah.
That's
Wasn't
what it
that
was
long
for
ago?
Football, like, so you would pick you could not transfer to a school in the conference or the Power 5 teams on your schedule for non-conference.
Boy, life has changed.
Now you can literally.
Yeah, pretty soon you're going to be seeing guys transfer within season. It's funny when you read reports now, like you see reporters saying players still can't transfer within the season. Like, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because like what would happen if Georgia or Alabama sustained a major injury?
Yep.
Their NIL would get in touch with somebody connected to a top player and say, we have a starting running back job for you at Georgia. We're going to give you over $1 million.
Yeah. Let's not.
And that would happen.
Let's not talk about
That would happen.
Yeah.
And there would be people that would do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.